watching Thrifty Kaniffy.
Hello everyone and welcome to Thrifty Kaniffy. Well, today I wanted to talk a little more about the Tsprof Pioneer. Got this sharpening system from these guys and they wanted me to check it out. I previously did a video on the overview and the assembly, and I've kind of just been playing around with it. Wanted to kind of tell you where I'm at with the sharpening and how I feel about, the quality of its performance. So one of the questions I got in the comments is whether or not you could sharpen a very small knife, like a pen knife or something like that on a Barlow. And I have attempted to sharpen this blade, actually just pulled it off the sharpener. And I found that if you use just a single clamp, you can do a better job with these small blades. And the problem is if you put this second clamp on, even in the narrowest position, you will rub over here on the blade. There's just simply not enough of an angle at the tip to allow for the clearance. So the best way to do it is just to center the blade up in the middle here, and then you have room on either side of the blade, and you will not rub on that clamp. I had no problem doing that, and I've a little cut test now I can perform. Show you guys the sharpness of this blade. It needed to be completely profiled. I had reshaped the blade because it had been broken at the tip, so I had to file the edge, and so there was spots where it was completely flat. And now you can see, in fact, before I even started the sharpening, I could run it across my finger back and forth, up and down, without any concern for cutting myself. Now it's nice and edgy. So this was a 21-degree cut. I found that to be kind of the best spot for the height with such a shallow blade. You don't have a lot of room out here to where you can get a narrower angle on it. So 21 degrees, that's typically what I cut my Swiss Army knives at anyway, so I'm happy with that, and that worked out great. Reprofiled. Took a little more time than normal sharpening would have, but you can see this is a pretty beat up blade, and as I said, I've had to reshape it and had to file down the tip, and so it was pretty blunt, and it wasn't going to cut anything. But there's that blade. Now I figured I would show this one on camera. Another one, it's pretty beat up, doesn't have much of an edge. In fact, much like the other blade, I can sit here and do this with no concern for cutting myself. It's absolutely dull. But this time I'm going to use this second clamp, so we're going to put that on. And I just find it easier to get the screw through there first. And then we can rotate it in the back. And put the clamp on. There we go. She's starting to tighten now. And there we have it. So we're just going to do what we did with the other blade and clamp it in here, kind of as far away from these, as little as the spine into the clamp as we can get away with. This is a pretty shallow blade still, and you do need to kind of take it to the limits on how much of the spine you put in there. You could definitely put more spine in a blade that's got more depth to it, but you don't have a lot with these Victorinox. But this clamp still works great. Never had an issue with that. And we're going to expose the tip area a little more. I kind of like to bring it a little more over, just because I know when I get to this side, it's going to be a shallower angle and it may hit. So we're going to test that before we start. And that feels fine. So we're good. But again, to set the inclinometer, we're going to take a quick look at this. This is the AxiCube. You actually have to buy this separately from the kit, but this is a Tsprof product. And what you want to do is make sure that you're on program 2. You can change programs by hitting both buttons at the same time for half a second, and you can see it cycling through there. We want to be on P2. And what that does is it gives us a 0 spot from the A side. So we set it here. There's actually a little stainless plate on the otherwise all aluminum part that it will magnetize to. All right, you set it there. You hit this button on the right, it zeroes it out. and then we're going to set that as our reference angle to 21 degrees. So we bring our arm over, we set it on top with the plate on, right? We just want to replicate how we're going to have it when we're actually sharpening. And I'm looking to do it at 21 degrees. There's a nice spot here to rest it on there because these are actually a steel rod, right? So that's the only other steel part, and that's pretty close. It says 21.2 degrees, and I wanted it at 21, so close enough for me. I'm not going to fret over 0.2 of a degree. But we are going to start with a 220, and this is the 1000 grit that I finished with on the small blade. So here is our 220. So we're going to put that in there. Maybe just wipe it down slightly. You can get a rag here. Start for the clean, fresh start. Looks like that's pretty clean. We're good. And we insert it into the clamp. Just spring loaded. Put it at the top, pull back the back, and voila, we're in there. So this is what they're calling the coarse grit. I'm just going to try to center that up a little better. And we're going to start on this side. I'm going to do, let's try 6 passes to begin with on each side to kind of get that bevel on there. This one, like I said, is super dull. So we're really going to have to recreate, reprofile, and it may take a bit of time to do it. So here we go. Whoa, looks like we, a little bit of an issue there. We lost the thumb screw. So we're going to tighten that down. There we go. Good thing that happened before I started. All right, so try to do a full stroke when you do a stroke, and we're going to go, I'm going to call this a pass, even though it's more like 5 strokes to the pass, whatever it is. But we're going to try to keep it nice and even. There are areas that are probably going to be more dull than others, so I may have to kind of focus on some areas of the blade more than others, but we'll try to keep it as even as possible. And we can see it's starting to get a little bit of a bevel here. And I'm just trying to make sure that that stays relatively even. Sorry about bumping the camera there. The head's kind of right close to the camera. So I believe that was 5 passes, if I counted correctly. I'll have to focus a little more this time around. I need to start counting them off because I keep forgetting where I'm at. Thing is I'm noticing that I didn't get it in there very straight. That's bugging me now. So before I go any further, I'm going to try to straighten this out. Now, you're supposed to put the blade parallel to the clamp. It's tough for me to see at the angle that I'm at. I actually probably need to tilt this back a little bit as I'm putting it in there so I can see a bit better before we start. So I apologize if you're not able to see what it is I'm doing. But that is vital that you get that in there straight, and I don't think I am. So I'm going to redo that before we get too much further here with the reprofiling. That is pretty darn important. So that was my mistake. And let's see if we can keep it just like that. Much happier with that. It was in there pretty crooked, and you could start to see the bevel wasn't coming out evenly, and that has a lot to do with it. Just not hitting the edge at the tip. So let's try this again. And we'll just start with 5. We're going to get our arms back where they need to be here. And start with 5. Again, we're using the 220. Just light pressure. You're not trying to grind the hell out of it. Let the stone do the work. All right, let's flip it. Getting pretty happy with the bevel now. It looks a lot better than it did. And it's just kind of important to keep inspecting your work as you do this. And I'm just going to go to 1 pass now until I'm happy with the whole bevel. And we'll kind of check the sharpness of it. Now, when you do the first or the coarsest of the stones that you're going to use, you should have a nice sharp edge when you're done. There's no reason why you shouldn't. You don't need to get down to super narrow or super fine grits before you have a sharp edge. Really, that's the rest of it is just to finish the edge. And right now, we don't even really have much of a, maybe just a small amount of a burr in 1 or 2 spots. So we're far away yet. But the 220 will make quick work of it. I'm not too worried about it. We could have gone with the lower grit, but I don't like getting too aggressive with it. We'll do 2 passes. Maybe it'll speed it up a little bit. One habit you seem to kind of fall into is sometimes you will kind of start taking short strokes. Try not to do that. Try to use the full length of the diamond plate so you don't wear it unevenly. You get in a rush, you tend to do that, little short strokes. And it's got limiters on there so you don't go off of the plate. And they're easy to set. They're pretty straightforward on the rod. So my stroke could come off on the top, but I'm kind of watching that side. This side, you can't go below here. So for about that last inch, you're not really hitting the stone for the last inch of it. All right, I think we should probably be getting pretty close. There's spots on it I'm going to have to focus on. Up here at the choil, I can see it's much narrower than it is. And then on the tip, there's narrower. It's just a straight area here. Whoa. Don't do that, John. That's much sharper than the 2 extremes. So I'm going to have to focus a little more on evening it out, unfortunately. This is the way it goes when you've got a really poorly profiled blade and you've got to kind of manipulate it to even it out. So it's going to require more work over here and at the tip. So now I'm just really looking at the edge to even it out. And just got the angle of where it reflects, and you can see. And I keep hitting the camera, and there's nothing I can do about it. Sorry about that. Yeah, that looks a lot better on that side now. Let's see if we're going to have to do the kind of the same thing over here. I imagine we will. Yeah, it's much shallower here and here, so we'll spend a little more time evening it out. Now, you won't have this problem once you get your bevel set, right? You shouldn't. Really, once you get your bevel set, it's just a matter of getting the proper angle and just grinding the angle that you've already created. But when you don't have one, there's times where certain areas of the blade resist getting that correct bevel on it. And so you're required to spend a little more time on those areas. And that's what we've got here. So this is actually going to be a lot more difficult than your normal sharpening. If you already had a sharp blade, or, you know, just a slightly dull blade, you never have to do what I'm doing here. This is a complete reprofile of just a trashed knife. Just one that I got on eBay, you know, and there was nothing. It had probably never been sharpened properly. And it's just that area near the choil is just not cooperating. Yeah, boy, tell you what, there's areas of this that are super sharp now, and I've got a very extreme burr on there. So I'm pretty happy with the way it's turning out so far, but I'm going to need to work more here. I can feel that it's just super blunt there at the tip now. So we're going to spend a little more time on the tip on both sides. And that's the area that got reshaped with my little Dremel tool. So yeah, it makes sense that that's going to need more work than the rest. It was pretty much just dead on flat on the edge. Still no burr there. And I probably even should have. Now I'm starting to get a burr. A little bit. A little more to the tip though. It's coming. Go ahead and flip this. And what we're trying to do with the left side is just make sure they're not rolling the plate off of the edge of it or letting it kind of roll this way. We want to keep it nice and flat and not go beyond the tip of it. All right, and we're getting pretty close to a burr all the way to the tip now. We're getting real close now. I'm getting pretty happy with the way it feels. But again, this is not your ordinary sharpening. This is a complete reprofiling here that we're doing. But now that we've kind of got it even, a little more work on that side over here. All right. It's unfortunately making portions of the blade a little uneven because of the way I'm having to do this, but I don't really know of a way around it. We'll try to even it out as best we can later. You could have hand sharpened it, I guess. That would have been, you know, something that you could do. But when you got this automated guided system, you're going to have parts of this that you don't necessarily want to touch the blade, but you got no choice. So maybe, you know, reprofiling, better left for the hand work, but we're going to try to even this out as best we can. All right. Got a burr over there. There. There's just one little spot there. It's kind of dullish. Right in that area there. So we'll keep touching it up. I think we're to the point we can kind of go back and forth now. All right, pretty happy with that. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next grit. And that's going to be our 400. Is that the 400? That's the 1000. So here's our 400. Let's clean that up. Okay, that feels nice and smooth. Got a nice burr there. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to change plates. We're going with the 600. And we are just about done here. Center that up, top and bottom. Wipe that off. Yeah, it's nice and smooth now. Okay. We'll go to our final grip, which is 1,000. There you go. Very fine. And then we'll strop this thing when I'm done. Just make sure the full burr is removed. Again, very smooth now. And it should be. I mean, you should have gotten it relatively smooth with the 600. Okay. I'm very happy with the burr on there. Okay. So we're going to strop that. And I'm going to have to remove it for that. So let's get our wrench back out. And again, complete reprofile. No issues with the gripping onto the blade, even this small blade. And really shouldn't be any issues with up to the most smallest blades that you'll probably encounter. I'm sure there's limitations. I mean, you're not going to get like a mini in there. But let's take a look at the profile of the edge there now. Now, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm kind of trying to do this from afar. And with the camera being there, I can't really lean forward, so this is kind of eyeballing it from further away. And I can't really even see the camera now, so I'm hoping it looks good. I'm not too concerned with it just being a Victorinox beater, but it does look like it's got a gleam to it, so must have done something right. And we'll do a strop. I've just got a leather strop. Let's see, where did that go? It's not in its normal place. So I'm not sure where I put it. Well, we can just use this backup. This isn't ideal, but a normal strop is not where it should be. Not sure where it is. So we'll just use this leather strop. And I'll just kind of use this as a way to hook it. All right, keep that kind of firm. And I don't have any compound on here or anything. It's more of a slack belt. Seems like the burr is more on that side. Okay. Try that out. See how she cuts. Again, not ideal. Not the ideal way to strop. I don't know where my other strop is right now. Paper cut test. And that's for 2 pieces of paper. Actually got 2. I don't know how that happened, but okay. I could feel it drag only because of the paper. Yeah. Pretty happy with that. Okay. So there you go. Completely reprofiled blade. It was completely trashed. You could see it wouldn't cut me when I tried. And it does the job on even these small blades. So I'm really happy with that because majority of the blades that I use are about this size. And that's going to be fantastic for maintaining, you know, the majority of knives that I have in my collection. So hats off to Tsprof for making these little L brackets. I think those are absolutely imperative if you have smaller knives or pocket knives. You know, you're not carrying a modern folder all the time. You've got Stockmans and Barlows and Copperheads and whatever else. Then this sharpening system will work for you. You just need to pick up these L brackets to allow you to get the clamps closer together. But that's going to do it for my video. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell to be made aware of videos when they drop. Thank you again to Tsprof for sending this over for me to check out. Really enjoyed this system. I think it's high quality and it works well. All right, guys, take care.